Hey guys, I'm just testing the feed just now. So I'm going to be starting soon and I'm going to be covering off some AI artwork and some game development and yeah, just trying to enhance what I'm doing with midjourney and also doing some more development. So yeah, any questions as well, just fire them in. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is in the game uh, drone commander that I'm playing, my that I'm making, my plan is to start to like just try and experiment with the artwork that I've got and use some AI generations to improve it. So at the moment, like for example, this is something, the current. If, let me just pull up in my setup to get the exact vampire that I'm using. So in level one, I start the briefing, and at some point, I have a transformation. One of the characters turns into a vampire, and so the character I'm using is gains transform. So let's find out what that frame is. So it's in here. So this is how I just basically find programmatically what images that I've used just to be sure. And so that's what I'm doing just now. I'm just going through that. So my setup is where I set this character, and I know that it's in my character scene 1 transformation, which is kind of what I expected. So if I go to my, so here's some AI art that I've been playing about with. Um, that's not what I'm going to be working on just now. I should probably put in some background music or something because this can be pretty dry. But yeah, I'm going to be just looking in at the assets I've made, and I want to just see what happens if I sort of change the images. So in scene one, I think I use this character. Uh, let's see, this transformation here. So because I'm using the AI art generator, it's going to be hard for me to do all of the different frames. The idea is I want to get like maybe just a nice template to work from, and then build on that. So first of all, I'll make sure that the thing actually still works. And as usual, I'll just be jumping in to see my stats and things to see if there's any questions. I should probably have some widgets and use a 2-screen setup, but I'm just using my single screen because I can't be bothered having a double screen setup for now. So I just want to check this CGI that I've implemented works, and then I'm going to try and add in the new character. So that looks fine. So I'll definitely want to do his character as well, because there's only one frame I'm using for that at the moment. And so these transformations, it'd be nice if I could make it a bit more codec, like Metal Gear Solid feel to these, these CGI cutscenes. So that's kind of what I'm probably going to go for. I think that'll look a bit cooler. So like, I don't know if it does it in the beginning, but I do have like this codec scene. I don't know if it does it for the ally, if it only does it for the enemy. Just double check again. Yeah, so like that SFX at the start doesn't happen at the end, but that's the kind of codec animation that I put in. Okay, cool. So the plan that I'm going to do now is to try and apply this. So I've got this character here, which is kind of way cooler, I think, than the character that I've done. So if I go into the transformation, so I'll just pick the first frame. Oh, that does them all. So at the moment, it's about 220 by 195, and so this is 502, which is quite good because it means that there'll be a little bit of a reduction in the resolution, which kind of adds to the charm as well. So I'm going to go and rescale this for now. Sprite size, did I say it was 201? 220 by 195. So actually this wasn't, so maybe I should just go back. So this wasn't what the sprite looked like. Or maybe it's here. That's what, I think, was that what the sprite looked like? Yeah, that's what the sprite looked like. And then oh, never mind. I used a color hue trick to change that. So I'll just add it here. Save this as more prototypes. So let's see what I've got here. I've got a prototyping folder. Samples, I'll just create one. Yeah, I'll put testing here. Okay, cool. So my plan now is to take this image and then we'll reduce it in size to the 220/195. I mean, I could, one last thing, maybe I should just show this, is I could change the color, so I could, I just like that tone. I thought it was pretty cool, but I can like you can do some cool stuff with hue shifting. So hue shifting's a bit of a trick using any art tool that you've got. So I could go for, let's say, something a bit more red. I don't know, like this. Let's just go for this for now. Just see what happens when I reduce it in dimensions. Still remains fairly yeah, because I think 220 is the height. or maybe it's proportionally scaled, so I need to. That doesn't quite make sense. It still looks quite big. Oh, I see. So 195. I should make the height as the main scaler because that's the max. Okay, cool. So that looks quite cool. Certainly adds a lot of charm to the character, and then I can make it much more photorealistic. Obviously, though, I don't like how it's too AI, and probably I'll want to cut this out and cut out the background and put an artificial background. But let's try this for now. Let's see what this looks like and just chuck it in. So I'm going to save this, and then what we'll do is, just for fun, I just want to see what that looks like in the AI. So in the transformation here, I suppose I could let me think, what's the easiest way to see this in game? Let's try and make it as just Drake for now, which is the vampire that talks second. Although he does have a red overlay, but let's just go for it anyway. I'm just keen to see how this actually looks in the game in terms of like resolution and things. It should look way different and just like out of place, because the artwork is just obviously such a huge step up. I mean, it's portrait level, right? It might not be something I might want to have in game. I might want to have it as like just the cutscenes between the games, so it's like kind of like just a single picture of them. But yeah, let's see how it looks first of all. Yeah, I mean, that looks completely out of place, right? Like the whole thing, it looks way too good considering compared to the other artwork, but it's pretty cool. So you can keep that in there. You know, you can obviously do some tricks like this. So what you can do is you can take this, and then I can take just the eye portion. As my selection type, I think, is messed up. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. So we can sort of make the eyes a bit more red here. Look kind of out of place to begin with, but then you just sort of merge it in with the background. So at distance it looks a bit better. Obviously you've still got sort of those colours there, but that's the idea, right? So like that's the idea of how, you know, you could transform that and it looks a little bit better. Another trick is you just you know, I could just invert that and switch it over. So what I'm going to do, just to see, I'm just really testing for now anyway. So I can switch the horizontal here, see how that looks. Yeah, it's not too bad. So obviously I want to kind of like merge that in a little bit more. You use transparency over overlays to just kind of like blend it in. So it's kind of like, now it's probably looking a bit more freaky, I think, which is kind of good. Agree. So now we need to somehow, like, obviously separating the figure from the background is really tough, but it's doable. So this is what I'm going to do. I want to kind of separate the character and make the background kind of like a more crimson red. So to do that, you start, basically, it's not pretty, because the way that these artworks, especially when you reduce in resolution, it's like there's not a finite end between the what's the word I'm looking for, between the background and the main character. It's actually quite hard to sort that out. So you have to be quite brutal in what you're going to cut out. But for now, we're just going to go quite... Now, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut the character out. I've decided I'll cut the character out. Hopefully there's some symmetries here. Let's check it out. No, not really. So we'll cut this bit out first. See, it's really, really hard to... There's probably a tool to let me select and cut the background, but they're always kind of pay for tools, I suppose. I may as well just Google it and see if I can find anything. Nah. Yeah, it struggles. I can't be bothered. So yeah, I could probably use the tool. I'm not going to do that now. Stick with that. I think that's like quite cool. Let's try and generate a vampire male. So we'll go image. So we'll say... Now I need to look at the one that I've done to get an idea. So this is the guy, then there's an overlay on top of him. So I'd say, let's go for prompt, we'll go for anime style vampire. Elf ears. Should probably use this, and then we'll say blood on shirt. We'll say 3-piece suit. See how that comes out. Wonder why it's saying cancel job. Never said that before. Interesting. Okay, so while that's waiting to build, we'll go into the code and maybe make some changes. So totally not come out how we expected it, which is not a surprise. It can suck pretty bad at times. So anime style vampire male. Try that. I've got these so you can use the fast setting, which costs GPU, or you can use the lazy setting, which is what I'm doing because I'm in no rush to get these done and they're still pretty quick anyway. So I'll make some changes to the code base. So I don't think there's anyone in the chat, but if there is, you know, shout out a question and I'll be happy to talk through some code and stuff. So I think while I'm doing that, I'm going to think about some of the code and behaviors that I want to change in the game. So I think at the moment, if I look at the skirmish, I've got the AI logic, which if it's under a certain amount of time, it'll deploy the MCR, and then if it's under another certain amount of time, it'll build a starting team. So, and at the next time unit, it'll launch an attack on the enemy, as well as giving itself some more reinforcements. So this command will only run once, because once it does, it sets the AI logic scene to second wave. So I don't need to do it there. I can just don't need to do it multiple times. I can just do it once. Just do it here. So they'll set this to the second wave, and then in the second wave, in fact, that I'm surprised this didn't give the enemy more, because it's going in a loop. That's interesting. Wonder why that should have given them, you know, 10 times the amount of loop iterations of units, but it didn't happen. So for some reason, it wouldn't, the flag wouldn't have set it to the next one, because it would be in the mid loop. So some interesting behaviors in this game already in terms of bugs. Again, this one, you know, if it occurs, I'm setting it multiple times. Oh, I see why, because the build start team was outside, it wasn't inside the loop. It's fine. Okay, so I understand that now. Let's see how this has turned out. Okay, that's a little bit better. Kind of like that. I want it to have more of a square jaw though. So it's Premiere, square or chiseled features. Chiseled features, elf ear, blood on shirt. Yeah, that could work. Let's go for that. See how that works. Yeah, so this is the sort of coding, right? Obviously, like when it says the command, it's just moving to the enemy's destination. I think it's the this part here where they do a bit of search and destroy. To be honest, I probably should just do that for them all and not just have them move, which I think I need to change the logic of search and destroy to be a little bit more smart. But essentially what happens is it looks, each unit finds the closest enemy and homes in on them. Let's have a look, see how this has come out. So this is coming out way better. I think this one's a bit too like boyish. So let's try to go for make it like a man. Maybe not anime, we'll go for like I think I'll try to think of a game engine, possibly. Let's try Square Enix. See how that comes out. So essentially that's the idea, right? It's like I'm just investigating the possibility of, trying to speed up my cycle by getting AI to do the artwork. Obviously it's not really speed it up though, because like it only gives you a basic template which I'll have to draw over anyway. And as you can see, like, as contrary to what people say about midjourney, is it's still not great. Like that, you're balancing out the trade-off of if you give it too much information you overload it, but then you know it's hard to be super specific because there's just capturing that detail. I like this one though, so I might see if I can redo that one. It would be cool if you could mix and match. You can specify a URL of a picture and then add that in, but using the URL doesn't build it in the same way, so it doesn't merge it nicely. It's not, the AI's still got a long way to go, but it is fun. So I'm going to take this version 1 and I'm going to take some variations on that. While I'm doing that, maybe I'll think about how I'm going to reword this guy. So maybe go for, I could go for a classic suit, like that. Blood on shirt, elf ears. Don't really need that, but it kind of adds character. It instinctively knows that it wants to face forwards. I've not had an issue with that. I'm trying to think what else I could go. Okay, this looks really cool. This looks really impressive. I'm gonna run this again. I mean, it's definitely on the right track. You can see like there's a lot of like distortions and things, but it's on the right track. They even picked the right uniform. It's just not quite there yet, so I didn't have a reroll. So yeah, I mean, like, this is something that just takes a bit of iteration. I just want to show like what my thinking was and how it would look in game. So maybe one last thing I can do while I'm doing that is to add on the thing I was thinking, which is I will say Metal Gear Solid codec. I don't know if that's gonna capture that, but let's try it anyway. I can always add those over myself. So like in the images, if I've got like a whole bunch of like bits and bobs here, so I've got like this codec thing here, it's like a mask. So that's for the blue one. I think let's see if we can find the other mask somewhere here. Yeah, here we go. So like the way it kind of works is if you just play it, it's like a wee. I kind of like that idea. Faster than light transmission's not going to be nice and smooth. So I like the idea of having a kind of like a flicker to the communications. So that's kind of why I went for that design. They're cool, but they're still not what I like. Let me think, how else can I do this? I think I've got another one building out. 3-piece suit, Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, you can see he actually looks like the character of Metal Gear, so not quite what it was had in plan. So I could just do green codec maybe. Let's see how that works. So the idea really is just going through this art breeder to try and figure out what styles will work within the game. The the once you've got the animation, like obviously it's so hard to incorporate it. There's a license, so there's a license which allows you to use it. So there's the common license, and then there's the actual you own it license. So I've got the you own it license, but to be honest, there's nothing that's really striking my eye except this one that's come out here, that's come out quite nicely. I think that looks pretty cool. I think that's a character that I could add in, or even use it as a base for inspiration for redrawing my other characters. Um, yeah, this isn't too bad, but again, it's not really got that feel. Let's try going pixel art. The problem is when you pick pixel art, they totally mess it up. So if we go pixel art style, remove that. Let's give that a go. Maybe, so I've said chiseled. The further on that you add the feature, the less priority that feature gets. But you can add like a feature prioritization, although I'm not quite sure about the number scale, because it's like 1 and then you'd be like minus 0.25. So I think it might all be relative to the one that you pick as your primary, like your primary feature. So I'm just going to add it here, chiseled features. See how that goes. Hey, just lurking while cooking breakfast. I mostly do text processing with Perl and Bash, so this is kind of a development. It's a really change of pace, fun change of pace. Yeah, thanks Mitchell. Yeah, totally right. Like same here. Like I'm more of a dev guy, and I do like my Bash. Perl, I haven't used that for a long time. That's good fun. But yeah, so essentially what I'm trying to do, Mitchell, is I'm trying to like generate artwork that I think will go well. Um, Once my idea is to take something as a base, then to deconvolve it, like to reduce the resolution, and then build on top of that. I kind of like this one. It's not too bad. It's better. Like, but yeah, that's the problem when you put pixel art. That there's such a variation in pixel art. So I might try to change it to say maybe like 16-bit. Maybe PlayStation might be a good idea to do. So let's try that. So it's a lot of iteration, right? And like some people, like there's a lot of like YouTube lectures out there, and experts who seem to like they pretend they know the algorithm, but they totally don't. So I kind of like this guy. I'm gonna just take a screenshot of that because I think I like that. I don't want to enhance resolution. It's not. Maybe I will actually. Let's enhance the resolution of this guy. So that's 1, 2, 3. It's the third one. So you push U3. That'll upscale it for me. Usually when you upscale it, they add more features anyway. So I'm going to change. So what was it? The last one I did, the pixel art style. I'm going to change this to, rather than pixel art style, I'm going to go for 16-bit style. I don't know if 16-bit comes with the, like, I don't know if you have to actually like type 16 hyphen bit, or if it's just it's hyphen bit. Okay, cool. How's things going with you, Mitchell, by the way? You all good? Yeah, this guy turned out not too bad actually. Obviously the hair's not great, and but it's a start. I don't know if that's like the Japan flag behind him or something. It's quite interesting. Apologies for my voice. I'm still not actually recovered. I'm still quite sick, but I'm finding this fun. Something different. Okay, so let's save this guy. Save this image. I'm gonna save it in. Let's see, my games dev folder, drone commander, assets, images. Man, going through all these folders can be like really tiring. Characters, because like you have to remember where everything is. I just put testing, and I just put Drake AI.png. Yeah, not really. None of these work for me. The 16-bit style probably gets overwritten by the anime style. So what I'll do is remove the anime style. Vampire male. Try that. And this guy, so I can light upscale redo. I don't know what that means, but let's give it a go. So yeah, like the way that you bake these images in is you normally like include them. You just point them and load them in, and so I've got them in my scenes and my campaign scenes where I kind of refer to them and have them talking things. So it would be nice to. So my target is to try and get one to replace the main guy. So I'm gonna go for this guy for now. Bring it in, and then I'm gonna. So this is. It will be overwriting him, and this is 220 by 195. So we'll give that a go. I will probably do the same for. After that, I'll do the same for the first character. I'll show you how you can specify a URL and make a redo. Okay. So if I go and he's still building. Yeah, the 16 bits, it's not that great. I'll come back to that. So what I will do is I'm gonna add the character in. I don't like the background, that sucks. And as you can see, everything's just so much detail you can't remove it out well. What you can do though is, because there's so much black around him, it shouldn't make it too hard to remove the back canvas, but we'll do it later. What I'm going to do is just get a quick idea. So 195, I'm going to resize the sprite. Height 195. Rote sprite's the best, but we can have a look. Like that seemed to have come out quite nice actually. You can change the scaling ratio. I'm gonna maybe see, you know, what the color changes could look like. It's weird. It's hard to find like a sharp red, you know. Like because the main one is so close to red. Right. Okay. Cool. So I don't know if there's any other changes I want to make here. Nah. Although that does feel a bit darker now, doesn't it? I could lighten the character up a bit. See, yeah, just a notch. Okay, so the character's been deconvolved, and that's it there. I'm gonna try and redo this guy to say a grinning. Oh, good in Miami. I like the Thambire aesthetic. Yeah, me too. I think it kind of works, right? Wow, Miami. Totally jealous of you. I'd love to be there. It's really cold here. Just stuck in like, you know, Christmas is coming up. The weather's not that great. So yeah, let's put this guy into the scene one. We're gonna call it Drake AI, and just see how it looks, right? Because there's still that mask that I apply on top. Just wondering if there's anything else I can do to adjust this. Interesting. So there's not that much detail, but the background has this. I've noticed this. It seems to do a lot of like contrast stepping in the background. Okay, so let's go back and see what this might look like. So if I change this to the Drake neutral, change it to Drake AI, I think that's the name I gave it, Drake underscore AI. See how that looks. And after that, what we'll do is I'm going to go and inject the same. I'm going to inject the picture of my original character of the first girl and see how that looks once I try to enhance that. But like I say, enhancing images doesn't really work well with midjourney, which is one of the main ones. So we'll let her do some of the talking. I'll skip that and see how the next one looks. Yeah, that looks really badass. Obviously, once you put all the characters in and things, it's going to look totally different. So you can't just put one of them in. Like, all of them would have to be AI generated, or all of them wouldn't be. My take would be I'd probably take the AI generated images and then work on them, like, like redo them in my style, because I'd at least just use them as inspiration, but don't use them as anything else. Because I don't want to outright. I know it's technically not plagiarism, but I'm just not interested in just copy and pasting it straight in, even though it's technically they say that I can have the rights to it because I've paid for it. I just don't like it. So I'll show you this trick now. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this URL of the character. So there's a copy link, and I go imagine, let's put the URL in, and then I'll say, let's just put the URL in and see what happens. That'd be quite interesting. See how it stylizes it, or maybe just put the URL in and I've no idea what that'll do actually. Yeah, so totally something not expected, so try again. Although, I don't know, something could be happening there. So URL, and then I'll say -s. I think that's for stylized. And I'm going to go 20,000. Like, it's not too bad. Like, it definitely did something. I didn't really give it much direction, though. I kind of like this one. It's quite cool, but obviously not really following. And just a rebuild, see what we get out of that. So stylized just goes crazy, right? Like, it's just letting it run with the ball. So let's go stylized, and I'll just say let me think, what else can I say? Admiral, I'll say navy uniform. Navy uniform. And then use this command image weight to say like what your how much you want the image to be, like what, I'm trying to think of the way to say it, like what is the dominance of that image in the refactoring. So I'm going to go for image weight. The maximum is 60,000. So I'm going to go 45,000. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, that works. That one came out totally ridiculous. That wasn't too, like, it's just interesting, like, because it's like not really got much direction, so it's just going for anything. Still pretty cool. It's weird, like, so the process that so I always forget names, like image distillation. It's called image diffusion, stable diffusion. Is it uses a technique of applying noise to an image, and then it does it in sequences, so it does like step by step by step, and so it always refers to the previous step, and so it always find it interesting why that there's a claim of so much high GPU usage, But it applies noise, and then it gets a generalization and removes the noise, and that process allows it to extra, sort of generalize features that it wants. That's not too bad, I think. Um, Let me think. How else can I improve this? So sometimes pushing up gives you the command, but sometimes it gives you the previous command, but sometimes it doesn't, which sucks. So, do I want to re-roll this or give it more direction? Let's try and give it a bit more direction. So say navy uniform. So the image weight, you play about with it. It's okay. So let me think. It's navy uniform. I want to say hologram style or purple hue. Maybe digital purple. Let's give it a feel, see what comes out here. I'm not really specifying camera type and lens type and things because like it's forward facing, so I'm quite happy with that. Image diffusion or stable diffusion, is this correct? Yeah, I just can't remember, right? It's like I think it's called stable diffusion, and so the way it's what's improved it, like when I started first working with image AI, it's like 10 years 15 years ago, and we're just in convolutional neural networks, and they've come a long way, but not really. They've come a long way in that they've just stuck a bunch more of them together, and they've gone more and more sophisticated with the math. So like, this is impressive. Don't get me wrong, this is totally impressive, but there's no intuition behind it. Like, the people are having to be more specific with what they mean, and again, there's tutorials online where people like claim that they've got, the inside scoop on the best way to guide the neural network. But really, like, it's limited on the amount of samples that it uses, the styles, the rate at which it converges and things. And it's like, it doesn't understand. You can't just say to it like, oh, redo this nose, right? You just click like the redo button. You can't specify, and that's a sign that there's no because there's no logic, there's no rules, there's no explainability behind this AI. So it's brilliant, and it's definitely worth paying for prototyping, and it will get better. I think eventually, like, AI engineers will crack it by simple brute force. It's almost like, people say, well, it's not brute force, it's neural networks, there's a lot of math, but it's brute force of a very inefficient method, in my opinion. I've got my own AI approaches, and hopefully one day I'll be able to find an alternative, and, well, to show an alternative, but I'm a busy guy, I don't have much time to dedicate to it. Let's rebuild this one. I like this one, but it's still not quite what I'm looking for. So let me think. So if I push the up button, yeah, it's going to take me right up here again. That's so annoying. Yeah, that sucks. That's nothing at all what I want. So let's start again. How am I going to make this work? So let's go for this. So put the URL in. I'm going to say anime style. What anime style? I don't know. What we'll go for Sword Art Online style. And then, so I've got the image, got that. I'll add I'm not going to add the image weight parameter. Let's just see what happens here. See how it builds. But yeah, I mean, like, essentially, like, stable diffusion's amazing, right? Like, the actual process and how it all builds and everything is is an amazing feat. But it's only the biggest companies can run this right now because of the GPU limitations and things. And again, it's becoming so convoluted that excuse the pun, but like, it's becoming hard for people to actually you know, it's just becoming more and more people working on a project that's got, like, instead of one giant big black box, it's like several big black boxes. So it's not quite, it's beautiful, but like I don't think this is the ultimate future. I mean, again, I think they could fix it to make it almost perfect by just continuing to add more and more neural networks to, you know, correct certain things, like, you know, for example, to allow better editing. Obviously that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the ability to edit better, and I think that's maybe doable, but it will become like a huge monolith that might be, you know, it's just, it's inefficient in my eyes. But I obviously I'm not against it. Like anything that works, if it works, it works. But it will be, it will be a tool by all purposes. It's a tool, and there'll be no, you know, there's no intelligence behind the art. There's, you know, it looks like it's building up a process of building the art, but it's not. It's building a process of generalization of tons of samples. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like a step away from convolutional neural networks and more in a direction of something else. But I don't want to be too critical. What they've done is great. So that came out not great. So what I'm going to say is portrait. So there's a lot of tinkering, a lot of playing about with this sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the general idea of me trying to get images. But ultimately, you know, at the moment, I mean, if I sort of Google, there's tons of videos that I've been looking at, like, you know, are you writing your best? And this guy does a whole 8 minutes in something that he could have explained really simply. I mean, maybe I should show some of the art that I have got so far. I mean, I've got some pretty good stuff. So if I go to the images, if I'm a lot more lax in what I'm looking for, like, so for example, my wife was looking for something for her book cover because she's writing a sort of ancient China novel. So these were some of the characters for the book cover. I really like this one. I think this one's really good. I think Naomi liked this one. This one's not too bad. That looks quite cool for a book cover, but it's quite Red Riding Hood though. And so like a bunch of other stuff I was playing about with. So I like this one. So it's like working on variations of my agent, but the eyes are creepy, like quite alien. Oh wow! And then, but you can see like there's very like there's remnants of that to this, so you can see it almost converges on the same like the same styles again and again, which is definitely a sign of inefficiency. I mean, this one's pretty cool. I can tell just by looking at that, like the art styles, and you can see like there's it's sampled some text that's you know it's not fully baked in because it's not a one-to-one rip-off, but it is, you know, ripping off some of people's art, which is it's quite crazy given the number of artworks it samples. So these are just two starter images that I used. Like given the number of like samples, like the overwhelming number of samples, it seems to converge back to the same, like the same things, which is a sign of me like there's a lot more improvement needing done. So I'm not really happy with any of these to be honest, but like just go for a reroll. So yeah, this is the process, and like, you know, trying to pick 16-bit or like pixel art just doesn't work at the moment, right? It's too much focused on portraits and photorealism, and obviously because like if you go to their actual Discord, so if I go to their Midjourney, so if I go to their Discord and then go to, I think they've got like some samples where they show like really like cool. We got favorites. So some of them are like mental, right? Like they're really really good. Let's see if we can find in some welcome trial support, member support, newbies. So these are like people that are generating stuff dynamically. So it does create great stuff. If you're so like this for example, right? Anime, cyberpunk, futuristic, enhanced quality. manga, beautiful girl, long hair, blah blah blah, synthwave. Right. So this is clearly from Art Gem, right? So like that's just artwork taken from another AI. So this isn't even Midjourneys. This is like Art Gem and Art Breeder art, right? That they've just sampling from that, and that person's picked those tags. And in fact, I could just go ahead and do that like in my one and show you what it would look like. So I could change it to say add synthwave. So version 4, I'm not quite sure what that tag does. I could play about with that actually. That's pretty good. Cyberpunk, I've done that a lot. Futuristic, blah 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 blah. I think those are just the tags that I need. This one's done. That's cool. So if I add that in, I'll just show you how it works, right? So if I put that in, I put art gem synthwave, get the URL of this one. So stick that in, art gem synthwave. I could even just say art breeder as well, art breeder synthwave version 4, and I'll put some image weight of like, I'll just put a lower image weight, so I'll give it a bit more. It might not let me do that because of the version 4 tag, but we'll see. Put like that, see what happens. Yeah, it doesn't like it. You cannot have custom image weights with version 4. So we'll take that out. I don't know what version 4 does, but I want to see. I'm quite curious. Give that a go. So in theory, that should stylize it in that way, which is not the style I'm looking for, but just to show you. No worries, man. Thanks for watching, dude. I appreciate that. Yeah, to see you next time, Mitchell. Really appreciate you signing in. I'll probably wrap up after this one, but yeah, I mean like this is quite nice. That this is definitely got a game feel. This is maybe potentially a game feel as well. Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what I expected. They go full hardcore stylized the minute that you add certain labels, which will, so you can see like the look at the extreme that's shifted from everything up here, right? Like it's just gone full on out of sync. It's like it doesn't even care, right? Like it literally doesn't care. Um, and so I guess, although I do like this image. This image is really cool. I'm gonna take this image for sure. Um, yeah, there's a lot to be done. So like, I paid my $36 to get a month's trial out of this. I'm happy. Like, it's good. I picked it up because I got a recommendation from a friend, and I wanted to make sure I hadn't fallen out of sync too far with like what's going on in AI in the world, because I'm focusing on my own AI stuff, and I'm like quite dark horse. I'm not in with the popular people, so it was good to catch up and to see what this is like. But I still think there's a long way to go before it's actually useful to artists, other than for base inspiration. Okay, so I think like, yeah,